What's good, people? It's your boy Jay the Actor here again with the brand new web show. Really now? Really? Thank you to everyone who tuned in to us last week and submitted your questions. This week we have a very special edition of the show. It's going to be Battle of the Sexes. So that means it's going down. We got guys asking questions, we got ladies answering questions, and of course we're going to let our viewers decide on who's going to be the winner. So before we get started, I have to let you know where you can check us out at. Check us out online on Twitter at jweeks_ENT. Also on Facebook, JWeeks Entertainment, or just online at jweeksentertainment.com. Now, before we get started to the show, I have to welcome my guest, or I should say my co-host first. Y'all all know her. I mean, this lady always has something to say. The lovely Miss Krista Renee.
What's up, everyone?
Okay. Also, fellas, back again, back by popular demand. We have the lovely Miss Stephanie.
What's up, y'all?
Okay, you came prepared this time?
You know what to hear.
Now, for those who seen last week's show, you know the ladies, y'all kind of made it hard on me, so I had to bring a little reinforcement. So I got to bring back my man, Mr. Tim Jones.
Back in the building.
Let's get it. Yeah. Now, of course, like I said, we're going to answer the questions. We're going to let the viewers decide on who gave the best answers, Battle of the Sexes. But me and Tim already know who's going to win. We already know. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started with this. Y'all ready?
We're ready.
Alright, don't get nervous.
Never.
Y'all know we gotta get honest answers, so y'all ready?
Yes.
Let's get into it. Off gate, we're gonna start off like this. Is it okay to take gifts from someone when you know you have no intentions at all in having any type of relationship with them? So, since the ladies came ready, we're gonna go ahead and let the ladies start off. So, Krista Renee, what's your take on that? What's up with that? You think that's okay, or what's your take?
Well, for men, if a woman tell you that y'all are just friends and nothing more, nothing less, and you still want to give her gifts, then it's on you. Despite if you think if the relationship gonna get more evolve into more, if she tell you that y'all are just friends, you still want to give her gifts, then it's on you. So a woman, take all the gifts that you want.
So pretty much she set this up if she already let her know what it is.
Basically.
Y'all hear it, fellas? Y'all hear it? Okay, so we got to have a little rebuttal. So, Mr. Timbo, what's your take on that?
Well, that's a pretty good take. I'll just add to that. I would say more or less, you gotta know who you're dealing with. You don't know this cat, you just met him or whatever. You don't know what his mind is like, so. I would say the sooner you cut it off, the better. Say, look, I'm not with that, because the longer you hold on to it, the longer you keep taking them, it's gonna be hard to get rid of them. You know what I mean? It's just a natural thing. But you really got to be careful who you're dealing with nowadays, because people are psycho.
Oh, definitely that. So let me ask you this though: do you feel like it's something that maybe the lady may be leading on, or is it something leading around and still keeping around, or what you feel?
Now, that's a touchy subject.
We got to make it plain. We got to let them know what it is.
I just have to be honest, you got to know when to say when. You know what I mean? Because some ladies they like to feel like they got a hold on the dude. So they just keep doing this. Even though they know they don't want nothing from him, they just keep it coming back. Like throwing a little bone here and there. It's just...
Okay.
That's not the way to do it.
Okay. So, y'all heard it right here. We got that answer. We're going to move on to the next one. Now, the next one says... Does having material possessions matter when seeking in a relationship? So Steph, if you trying to date a guy, do you go for the guy who has the nice car, nice 2012 car, he always suited and booted with his J's on, wearing phone posits, LeBrons, all that. Is all that important? Does that play a factor in it?
Well, it doesn't really necessarily play a factor, but from his material things, you can see the way he's laid out. Like the last show we talked about the cleanliness, the appearance, they plays a factor. Yeah.
So when you're looking for a guy and if you see a guy dressed in plain clothes, with straight, just basic, nothing name brand, is he still gonna get the same look that the guy who's dressed up and has all the designer clothes on, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on his approach.
Okay.
If you approach me right, you're gonna get the same kind of come back as the dude that's rocking the J's that got his 2012 car. You know, he's gonna get the same kind of.
You heard it, fellas. This approach is right. You ain't gotta have no good clothes. I mean, my take, you know, I feel like, you know, looking for a young lady, if she doesn't have, you know, the fancy, you know, red bottoms and all the other things, that really don't really make a difference, you know, as long as, you know, it's what's in the heart, you know, really. And how she, you know, carries herself, like you said, because you can dang on have, you know, all these designer clothes and everything like that, but you can be a dang on idiot, you know, you can be dumb as a box of rocks, you know, so that really doesn't matter. So I think, like you said, you have to really know the approach too, because you can't just approach, you know, a lady the wrong way for that one too. So I can kind of side with you on that, you know, but I feel like the appearance and all the material things shouldn't necessarily play a factor. I think if you're going into it like that, then you're seeking, I mean, you're really being shallow about the situation, just saying, you know, where it's all about the material things. Because if you look at it, if that person loses those things, then what? Then what? You lost that attraction for? That's it. It's a done dollar, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we got that one answered. We're going to go ahead and move on. So the next one says, is it possible to be in a successful relationship after meeting someone in a negative light? Now, this question right here, this one is kind of, you know, kind of iffy, kind of touchy, you know, because when I think of negative light, you know, we're going to put it like this. I'm going to add a little bit more, you know, put a little seasoning into it. Negative light, let's look at it, you know, could be a stripper. You know, the guy could be a pimp. He can be, you know, someone who don't really care about women. You know what I'm saying? He may be trying to date multiple women. Or even for the ladies, he could be someone like your best friend's ex. You know, that's also a negative light. So, do you think that that's something that, you know, can go ahead and have a successful relationship? What's your take on that, man?
Ooh. That's a mouthful.
Okay.
From a man's perspective, when you're looking at somebody that's maybe come from stripping or something like that,
could you date? Before you get to that, could you date a stripper?
Ooh.
If your girl was stripping, could you have a successful relationship?
It'll be hard. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, you know, a lot of dudes say, yeah, I can do it, but it's a lot more to it than meets the eye, because, like, you know, she could be secure in who she is, and she know that's what she does to pay the bills. But, you know, on our end, you know, the jealousy thing, that green monster.
Of course, yeah. You got your boys can be able to see your girl whenever. Okay.
You know, that's not a good look. So I can see it on both sides, but from a man's position, I'm saying that's a hard one to swallow right there. That's a real hard one to swallow right there. You got to be a real strong dude, real strong man in your own, and be really secure. And you know, a lot of guys are insecure.
Of course.
I mean, so I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest about that. But at the same time, you gotta know. You know, he gotta know what he was getting into from the beginning. You know, you met her while she was on the pole.
Pretty much, you gonna have to deal with it, right?
You gotta deal with that, man. You gotta deal with that. So that's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I just say, for me personally, I couldn't do it. But hats off to the cat that does it, man. He's got to be a strong man.
Yes, and I second that motion. I can't do it, so I'm gonna let you know now. I can't do it.
But wait.
But you got something to add? What you think?
What if she's not a stripper anymore, and there was her past life, she over it, and she, you know.
If she's in another city, because if she's still living in Durham, stripping, everybody know her. Okay. Nah, we can't have that, because all my boys gonna remember her.
That can't be in the moment. I can't have that.
That's big booty too. I don't want everybody to know my girl like that.
People can change.
Oh yeah, that's true.
People can change.
That's true.
People can change. However, from a guy's point of view, you gotta realize, from a dude's point of view, you to a guy, your woman, that's like, you know, that's prize, that's everything. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's that male attitude that you feel like this is, you know, she is everything. Right. And for your boy to come into you like, yeah, you know, I just seen Big Booty Jew the other day. You know, it's a personal thing. You know, you got to feel like, what you mean? So, like you said, you have to be super beyond, like, super being able to be cool with that. You know, I personally, I'm not strong enough to accept that. I can't do it. I'm letting you know that. I can't really do it. But so on the other part of that, so meeting a guy in the negative light, do you think that that's something, you know, if he has a dark past, you know, maybe he's someone who's, you know, just got out of prison, You know, is that something? You know, that's also a negative light too.
Yeah, well,
he might be on probation. Is that something that, you know?
Personally, no, I couldn't, because I agree with what Tim said. I mean, it's gonna take a long woman
to do it.
because you know where he's coming from, but you can't be secure enough to know what he's going to. Right. Maybe he hasn't changed, maybe he hasn't learned, maybe he hasn't grown up and matured. So he may go back to the same things that he was doing before. And you know, you put your trust in him to be like, oh, okay, well, you know, he's gonna change, but then it happens again, you be like, you know, there's nothing you can do.
So like I had to make it plain with Tim. Could you date, if you were dating a guy, right? He may have gotten locked up for whatever it may be. We're not gonna say nothing negative like he was doing, you know, selling drugs or kill somebody, anything like that. Could you still be in a relationship with him? Meaning, could you wait for that guy? Say he got a year. We say yeah. Well, could you still say that you'll wait around for that guy and still have, you know, try to be in that successful relationship with that guy? Could you do that?
Not if I was already with him and I know his intention. Not if I know in my heart that he's not gonna change, no.
But he's okay. Joe Smo. We're gonna bring Joe Smo back. Joe Smo is pretty much the guy that's pretty much, you know, don't really have, you know, no criminal history, nothing like that. But for whatever reason he may have got locked. Could you still, you know, decide to be with him?
That's still a little tough.
Dang, Joe Smo didn't get no love.
It's a little tough because Joe Smo, you know, those are the ones. Those are the ones. You know,
okay.
You know how they talk about like church kids.
The choir. So the choir was.
Church kids be freaks. You never know. Joe Smo might be like.
Okay. So pretty much. So we kind of in agreement that it's kind of hard thing. We can't. Okay. That's cool.
It's tough.
This gonna be the last question for the day. So this was kind of. It's kind of touchy a little bit too, but you know, we have to answer the questions always. So this one says, why don't men like to talk at all? And why do women talk so much? So do you have anything to say? I'm gonna let my co-host go ahead and start us off with that one. What's your take on that?
Well, I think men looking back in time, it was a time when men didn't talk a lot, but nowadays I see men talking a lot now. And so, and not necessarily saying that they're talking to their partners, but they talk to their boys. They do talk to their boys a lot. And so, and women talk, I think, and that comes into play where women talk a lot, because where men didn't talk a lot, who's going to talk in a relationship? You know, it's going to be quiet. Okay. So I think women took the initiative and talk. Now men are now stepping up to the plate and they talking back.
Yeah, I heard it. We got something to say too. So, but let me ask you this: why do you feel, or what's your opinion on why you think that men weren't talking, you know, previous before? Why? What do you think?
Coming from the background of, you know, that conversation of childhood, you know, maybe they didn't have that person that talked with them, you know. Even if they was raised by only by their mother, you know, maybe she didn't talk to them a lot, and you know, that father figure wasn't there. And so, and then going back to as a child, you know, you've been told as a child, hush, stay in your place. And so you're not talking as much. So when you get older, you're still not talking, and it's, you know, kind of like abnormal to you, you know, talking. So you got to grow into that role.
Okay. And on the flip side, so do you feel like that women now has kind of died down as far as doing most of the talking? Now is kind of, or they always gonna talk?
I think they always gonna talk. They always gonna talk.
Anything different to add or more to add to? I know it's kind of a little, you know, a little touchy. You know, you touching the waters with that, but
it's definitely a real place, because, like you said, going back to childhood, you may have not seen a man that expressed himself. So if you were especially raised by your mom, you know, most men that are raised by their mom, they will be a little more talkative, because she may have spent that time talking to them. But then, I just give you an example in my case. You know, I live with my mom, live with my grandparents. You know, I had two strong male role models.
Right.
They ain't talking about that.
Nothing.
You know, I mean, it was,
so everything, you know, is kind of
everything is learned by my example. You know, so it's one of those things that it's just a natural imbalance, I like to say. And I think you can't put all men in that category, but a lot of men fall into that category.
Okay. Yeah, and do you, since you're saying, you know, putting men in categories, you feel like you can't put women in that same categories and they talk all the time? Make it plain, cause
I'm gonna be honest. You know, there are some women too that don't that don't talk a lot about things. They keep things repressed, but for the most part, you know, women are a little more talking.
Save yourself now.
So, what's your take? Do you feel like is there a reason behind, you know, the women being more talkative? You know, are they overanalyzing everything, or they're not analyzing enough? What do you think? Coming from, you know, a young lady yourself, what do you think?
I just think we have a lot more to say. I mean, because we always have our opinions, and we want people to, you know, respect our opinions, and you know, I mean, yeah, we just have more to say.
Okay. Well, cool. Like I said, I mean, that was all the questions we had, but I'm glad, you know, we got to get into it. Yeah. Of course, we're going to let our viewers go ahead and get into it, you know what I'm saying? And they're going to tell us who was pretty much right for that one.
The women.
But anyway, before we go ahead and finish, man, this last little segment, I want to take the time to kind of talk. If you already don't know, I do have my brand new play coming out, What Men Don't Say, June 30th, July 1st at the Durham Arts Council. Go online and check out the tickets. But this play, What Men Don't Say, I feel like this was something that, you know, resonated with me and something that was going on in the community, you know, or just in the, you know, society right now. I want to know personally from you all, you know, and no feelings attached. I just want to know, you know, as the writer and the playwright, you know, what is your take on that? Do you think that that is something that's relevant right now? You know, talking about what men don't say. Do you think that's something, Steph? You look like you had something to say.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea, solely because, I mean, it kind of opens up a lot of people's eyes, mainly men, and some women may be curious. So, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, Chrissy Renee?
Of course, I think this play is a great idea. I encourage everyone to go and support, because I think men talk more or say, the relationship will flow way smoother.
Right.
And a lot of relationships will be saved.
Oh, okay. So you think that they need to pretty much go into more with having dialogue. Now, is it something they're not communicating with their partner, or just in general they just not talking?
Both, in general. Yeah. Like in general and with their partner.
Okay. Because like I said, when I wrote this, you know, I kind of thought about, you know, all the, you know, relationships and experiences that I had where, you know, people say, you know, you don't communicate enough, you don't say this and this. And like we talked about, Tim, you know, there's always a reason behind it, you know, or a reason why. But, you know, the example that I gave before was that, you know, as a kid, when you have a son, you know, if your son falls, you know, first thing you tell him, don't cry, you know, you okay? So I think, again, that's something that was kind of relevant. So when I thought of the idea, you know, I wanted to give, you know, the viewers something that they normally wouldn't see, you know. And a lot of things was hard, you know, writing this and kind of decide on what things were, you know, crossing the line as far as, you know, Geico, you know, gotta keep that, you know, on tack. So, but what about you, Tim? What do you think? I mean, coming from a male yourself.
Definitely, I agree with you. Some of these things kind of need to be put out in the forefront, because a lot of people just don't really talk about it in general, you know, just men and women, about the fact that, you know, in the black community, I don't feel like men really communicate enough to their kids, to their spouses or whatever, because, like, you know, we don't actually, some of us don't take the time to tell our kids that we love them, because we haven't seen that done before. So, I mean, it's definitely
So you feel like this is actually bigger than just a man talking to a woman, or a relationship, that it goes further than that?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. It's just a thing in society, and it goes way back to slavery days. If you want to
well, since you
really break it down,
take us back to that. What do you mean when you say that it goes back? Like, give an example of what you feel.
A little tidbit. You know, it goes back to when, you know, Massa decided that, you know, he wanted to break the male down.
Right.
So, you know, it put the female to the forefront.
Right.
And the female was, you know, able to interact with them more than the males were. We were pretty much muse. You know what I mean? So we're not supposed to talk back.
Right.
You know, so that was kind of repressed in us, and, you know, then just over time, you know, it just kind of accumulated and continued to do that throughout time. So it goes way back, man. It's deep in the black community. I think you find that, you know, the white males, they talk a lot more to their spouses, their kids, and express emotions.
So coming from the male perspective, like, why do you think it is that in our, you know, in the black community as males, like, we don't communicate, you know? Why? I mean, I try to figure that out myself. Like, you have, like you said, in the other communities where, you know, they communicate more, or a lot of issues are swept under the rug. You know, you don't talk about that. You know, or the guy code or whatever you want to call it. Like, what is it that we feel like we can't communicate with each other, man? Because it's definitely something that, like you said, or it may, like you said, it may not even be something that we can even put a pinpoint and say, you know, this is what it is, you know, about, you know, this particular issue is why we don't, you know. But like you say, it could be something that has been going on for years and it's kind of swept on the rug, you know.
That's definitely true. It's ingrained in us, man. And it's unfortunate because we need to break the cycle so that the younger kids, younger black males can, you know, start to, you know, again, you know, show emotion, be able to talk and be able to, you know, express themselves. Right. That's the key. That's why you got kids doing the things they're doing now because they can't express themselves.
And then you also have, you know, from, you know, your like, you have the women now, you know, raising, you know, kids by themselves. You know, they're being the mother and the father that you have to that one. So I think that that's something that really needs to be discussed. But I mean, just hearing that, I didn't know that, you know, when I initially started writing the play, I pretty much just thought about, you know, just as a guy from a relationship point of view. But I think, like you said, there's a lot of issues that we don't, you know, kind of discuss. It's kind of like swept under the rug with everything, you know. But from, you know, even from young ladies, have you ever had, you know, I don't need you to be like specific, but have you had experience where you felt like you couldn't communicate or reach out to a gentleman that you were talking to in a relationship? Steph?
Yeah, because I feel like when you try to express yourself, like, you know, like we said last show, they may interpret it wrong, they may take it the wrong way. So then you kind of feel like, well, dang, what can I say to him to make him understand where I'm coming from without him being offended or, you know, me saying something wrong, you know, to him.
And then I experience where a man shuts down and they, you know, don't talk. But when a man don't say anything or when a person don't say anything, that leaves the opportunity for another person to assume or, you know, something
and then,
that is really maybe not, you know.
That's a good point.
So you feel like that even if they communicate with just, you know, in a relationship standpoint, just with their partner, then that would be easier.
Right.
Pretty much.
Of course, I think so.
I think a lot of men does not. I think a lot of men don't say I love you enough.
They start when
they don't say it enough because of their pride is a little bit too high.
But the real issue is it started when they was little. It started as little. They didn't see that.
That's why I agree with what you said.
So when you to the relationships when it gets even worse.
Right. So I hear you saying that, you know, when they were kids. So and that's something I kind of discussed, you know, shortly for that one too about, you know, growing up. But you said saying I love you. Do you mean like to a partner, or can that just be like to your mom or
to your mom? Because you know, a lot of guys be like, Mom, tell you I love you, one of my friends and stuff. I mean, but it starts.
Oh, so it's okay.
Yeah,
so
like,
it's mom too.
Well, to wipe your face off with her stick. Stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it started there, and I don't think.
So do you feel like that now the men, now that we've discussed all these things, do you feel like from the, you know, female perspective that the men, it's time for them to step up to the plate and
bend time.
Wow, fellas, you heard it. Bend time is what she said. Wow. You see, they try to, you know, answer the question, but still so much on the bus. You know, but I feel like, you know, the new generation, we trying to do a little bit better, you know, and I think by having, you know, this forum now, what we're doing is reaching out to people who wouldn't normally get the opportunity to have these issues discussed. And so I think this is definitely something that can be, you know, addressed on a larger scale, but also people can kind of understand, you know, where we're coming from for that too. You know what I'm saying? I know you were talking about, you know, as a youngster, you know what I'm saying? So you feel like that, you know, pretty much when it's young, it all starts from that point?
Absolutely. I feel like if you didn't see that in your household, you didn't see your mother and your father interacting like that, you didn't see, you know, your father telling that he loved your mother, even telling you that, or even just, you know, just the interaction. It starts somewhere. I mean, you can't, you know, expect a male to grow up and just do things on his own. He has to learn some things. You know, he has to have people influence him. And so sometimes they get the wrong influence, and they do what they see out there.
And I feel like you said something when you said they don't get the you know, you're talking about people don't have someone to see. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. You know, you don't have that role model or someone to pretty much show you how to be a man, especially, you know, even for myself, you know, coming from having, you know, the single mom, you know, like you said too, you know, not having someone to say, this is how you are to be a man, this is what you do, you know, this is what you don't do. Not having those things for that, you pretty much don't know where pretty much to go. It's kind of like we said before, you know, in a couple episodes, that by not having someone to say this is what you do, you kind of find yourself saying, okay, this is what I think, you know, this is, you know, what I think that you should do, and this is how you got to be. So I think, like you said, you have to step up and have, you know, that one, because you said you were raised by your grandparents, right? So you said you had, what, two?
Yes.
Two role models, pretty much.
Two role models, you know, and then I had some uncles and whatnot as well, but, you know, like
now we talking about drunk uncle?
No.
We talking about, because everybody got them. We talking about them.
Okay.
Nah, that was good. He's still to this day, you know, he's a preacher.
So do you feel like that he kind of planted those seeds in you to kind of give you a better, you know, perspective on being a male for that one?
Absolutely. He's the only male that I actually saw that actually, you know, expressed himself. To this day, he's the only man to tell me that he loves me, like, easily. Wow. To this day.
Wow, that's got to change, man.
That's the only man I can tell right back just like that, because it's the only person I've interacted with like that.
Word. That's great.
Again, that starts, relationships are built from the time that you're young. So even though, you know, you're talking about relationships here, you know, it's got to start somewhere, like I said earlier, and if you don't see it, I mean, where else are you going to learn it? You're going to learn in the streets, you're going to learn what you see on TV. We're influenced by everything that's around us. So.
Well, man, I thank each and every one of y'all for sharing, you know, just about the play, you know, because I just wanted, you know, to kind of see from, you know, playwright's point of view, just to hear what the viewers have to say about that. And, you know, just before we close out, did you have any last thing to say, not just about the play, but just in general, that you want to tell to the people?
I enjoyed being here. Glad to be back. We'll keep doing this thing from
all day, every week. Y'all know. What's up? Anything for you?
Yeah, I'll be back next week.
Hey, Ray, what about you, Miss Chrissy Renee?
Well, you know, I'm all about encouraging people. So for every woman that have a daughter or a son, for every man that have, you know, a little baby, I encourage you to go home and love on them, love them, love them, love them.
You heard that right there. So thank you for everyone that tuned into our show. Like I said, this was Battle of the Sexes. We kind of went a different way on the end, but we have the ability to do that here. This is J Weeks Entertainment, baby. But thank you to my guest, Mr. Tim Jones, the lovely Miss Stephanie, of course, you know, my co-host who always got something to say, the lovely Miss Chrissy Renee. Thank each and every one of y'all for sharing. But you can go online to J Weeks Entertainment, go to the Really Now section, submit your questions if you have any suggestions or ideas for what we should do about the show. Also, hit us up to let us know, you know, who won. We already know that we gave the best answers for Battle of the Sexes, so, you know, it's not even no question, so really y'all can just go ahead and over there and tell us the fellas win.
We all know the truth.
Oh. Yes. But anyway, check us out next week. We got something very special. You don't want to miss it. Like I said, hit us on Twitter at jweeks_ENT, on Facebook, JWeeks Entertainment, jweeks.com. Thank you for everything that everyone has done, especially for the support. And as always, we see y'all next time. Support the arts. Love y'all.
You know me, I'm on my grind. You see, I come from that bottom. Yeah. Come on, I'm on my grind. Gotta get the money. See, I come from the bottom, man. You haters can't take nothing from me. Come on. Yeah. Now, off top, you know that money come first. And if you wanna keep hating, I said you